Hello everyone and welcome to yet another deck profile, and it is my pleasure to say that today we're gonna be looking at the list that got me day 2 in Stuttgart, and that is the Regidrago VSTAR. So, for our Pokemon, we have 3 Regidrago VSTARs, we have 3 Regidrago Vs, we have 3 of the Tilmask Ogerpon to accelerate the grass energy onto them. For our attackers, we have 2 of the Dragapult DX. We have 1 Kyurem, 1 Giratina V-Star, 1 Alolan Executor, 1 Radiant Charizard, 1 Squawkabilly to reset our hand at the first turn, 1 Cleffa to get more cards when we're low on hand. We have 1 Mew EX for the very same reason. And we have 1 Phazandipiti EX for the draw power when we are knocked out. For our supporters, we run 4 of the Professor's Research. Most decks run 3, but I chose 4 because we need to reset our hand more often. We have 3 Ionos, which come in clutch against Miraidons and other aggressive decks. And we have 2 Boss's Orders. For our items, we have 4 Nest Ball to get our basic Pokemon onto our bench. We have 4 Energy Switch to switch the Grass Energy from the Ogerpon onto the Regidrago. We have 4 Ultra Ball to search for Pokemon and discard the dragons. We run 3 Earthen Vessels, most decks run 4, but I think 3 is enough. We run 2 Super Rod to return the energies and Pokemon into our deck. We run 1 Switch. We run 1 Canceling Cologne to deal with Manaphy's and Pikachus. We run 1 Prime Catcher as the ace spec of choice. And for our stadiums, we run 1 Jamming Tower and 1 Temple of Sinnoh. And our energy count in the deck is 3 Fire Energies and 7 basic Grass Energies. So first thing we're gonna talk about are some of the inclusions and exclusions in this list. We run only 3 of the Earthen Vessel, which is less than most decks, but I think 3 is actually enough. By my experience in Stuttgart, it was not too low a number, and it was worth cutting 1 of the vessels for the Alolan Executor EX, which is a great card. And another inclusion that might have been different in other decks is the Regidrago VSTAR. I personally don't like the card very much. I don't see that much of a hype. I mean, it can win you a mirror, but on the other hand, also the Alolan Executor can. And for the consistency aspect, I think it's better to run 2 Regidragos than running the Regidrago VSTAR as well. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about matchups. So one of the easiest matchups that I unfortunately got only 2 of in Stuttgart was the Lost Box, especially the Lost Box Pikachu, because we run the Canceling Cologne that can cancel the Pikachu's ability, and because Lost Boxes rely on Colress's experiments so much, we especially needed the Kyurem in our deck, because, well, Kyurem can knock out 3 of their Comfys or 2 Comfys and a Cramorant. I mean, it gets you free prizes like almost every turn, so yeah, that deck is just basically an auto win. If they play it very, very well, it can be very clutch, but I think Regidrago is so heavily favored into the Lost Boxes that I don't see it like winning very often. So yeah, it's very, very favored. Another matchup that I got 2 of in Stuttgart was the Klawf. Klawf is actually one of the more interesting decks in this format, and yeah, I managed to get two of them. And once again, a lot of lists that play Cloth also play the Colorless Tenacity, which also has Colorless in its name, and once again activates your Curem for 2, 3, whatever, a lot of prizes in one turn, which is very, very great. And another favorite matchup that I actually lost in Stuttgart was the Ancient Box, which was a bit different build that kind of threw me off guard, and that's why I lost. But because it ran the Great Tusk, the mill card, which milled my deck at the end when I was almost there with the win. They milled me out and I lost, so yeah, that was kind of unpleasant. But if they don't run Great Tusk, it's very favored, because before they get to a notable amount of damage, you can easily knock out a lot of their Pokemon, and yeah, it just runs really well into the more common variants of the Ancient Boxes. But with the Great Tusk, it makes the matchup a bit more difficult. You need to be way more careful than I was, evidently. And yeah, that's also one of the easier ones, so to say. But yeah, I also got the vast majority of my matchups were actually either 50-50 or very difficult. And one of the more difficult matchups that I got was actually the first round. I got the Banette item lock. And as you can see, our deck is consisting mostly of item cards, and you need the item cards like a lot. So yeah, that's why this deck is very difficult to play against. Yeah, I managed to get out a tie, which is amazing, but yeah, most of the times you would probably lose against it. Another matchup that is very, very difficult, I managed to get a win out of it, but that was mainly luck, to be honest, was the Miraidon EX deck, because I mean, it's very difficult because they are really fast, and that's one of the few matchups where you want to use your V-Star ability very early in the game, because you need that quick setup against them. And what you want to do in that matchup is use the Dragapult's attack with the Apex Dragon to spread a lot of damage and get a first two prizes with the, I don't know, knocking their, for example, Raikou V with exactly 200 HP and spread damage onto the Miraidons and the Iron Hands, and then just go 2-2-2 with the prize trade and hope that you actually pull it through. But mainly, in many cases that I tested, actually Miraidon sets up way before we could ever do that. So yeah, that's what makes this matchup very, very difficult, but not unwinnable, clearly. And the third deck that I would mention, which is almost unwinnable, I didn't manage to get a single win, and I got 3 of them in Stuttgart, and I didn't get a game win, let alone a match win. And that is the Raging Bolt EX. It's very fast, it's very strong, it can knock out anything. It's absurd how difficult this matchup actually is. And yeah, one of the cards in this deck that would help you deal with them is actually the Alolan Executor, because they only play basics. And yeah, but before you can pull it off, they probably are already 2 prizes or maybe even 4 prizes ahead, because they are really, really fast at what they're doing. And honorable mentions also to the more 50-50 matchups. I think very 50-50 is the Terapagos EX, and Charizard EX is also 50-50. If you get a great start, you're gonna win. If you get a lousy start, you're probably gonna lose. So, and everything else in this meta is mainly 50-50. And yeah, you have a lot of ways to play this deck, a lot of outs all the time, which is what makes this deck so great and so fun to play. So, thank you so much for watching, you guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe.